Last September, a few of us decided to throw Chris a proper bachelor weekend. There were 4 of us, me, Chris, Jared, and Mason. We'd all grown up around Boston but hadn't had a real getaway together in years. Someone found this Airbnb cabin way out in Vermont. Looked perfect: mountains, fire pit, no cell reception. A couple hours out of town and we were off the grid. The plan was simple: booze, barbecue cards. Nothing wild, just one last hang before Chris got hitched. The place was cleaner than expected. Rustic, sure, but cozy. The owner, Marie, had messaged me the code to get in and left a welcome note on the kitchen island. She wrote, "If someone named Will drops by, he's an old friend. Totally safe." None of us thought much of that. We joked about it. "Watch Will be some sketchy drifter," Mason said, cracking open a beer. We unloaded the car, claimed bedrooms, and by sundown we had the fire going. We were 2 rounds into a drinking game when we heard someone knocking at the front door. It was a guy, late 30s, maybe early 40s, neat beard, jeans, and a denim jacket, standing under the porch light like he knew us. "Hey," he said, like he was catching up with old friends. "You must be Chris." He pointed right at Chris, who froze. "Marie told me you guys were up here this weekend." "I'm Will." The weird part. He wasn't threatening at all. Smiled like a salesman, had this calm, smooth voice. Said his car died about a mile down the road. "I wouldn't ask, but it's pitch black out there, and I don't have signal. Mind if I crash on the couch?" We hesitated, but he wasn't pushy. Just stood there shivering a little, holding nothing but a small backpack. I remembered what Marie had said in the note. I even pulled it out to check. She had mentioned him. We let him in. Will was polite to the point of awkward. He sat near the fire, asked about how we all knew each other, used our names like he'd been part of the group for years. That should have been the first clue. We'd only said our names once or twice since arriving, but after a couple beers we dropped our guard. He didn't act weird, didn't snoop around. He just blended in. Too well in hindsight. Around 2 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. The cabin was dead quiet, everyone knocked out from drinks. As I passed the hallway, I saw a faint light under the door to the den, the room Will said he'd sleep in. I pushed the door open a few inches. Will was crouched near Jared's duffel bag, one hand inside the other, holding something that looked like a USB stick. He didn't see me at first. I stepped in fully and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" He froze. For a second, the calm salesman mask dropped. His eyes darted between me and the bag. Then he stood up slowly, stuffing the USB into his pocket. "Sorry, thought this was mine," he muttered. Before I could reply, the others started stirring from the noise. Mason came down the hall, half awake. "Everything good?" Will put on his calm smile again. Yeah, my bad. Wrong bag, long day. But we weren't buying it." Jared came in behind us, saw his open duffel, and said, "That's my stuff." Will didn't argue. He just nodded, grabbed his backpack, and said, "Didn't mean to overstay. I'll head out. You sure I asked? It's still dark out." "Yeah, I'll manage." His voice was tight now, less charming. He walked out without another word. We locked the door behind him. As we sat in the living room, shaken and silent, Mason started double-checking the electronics we'd brought. That's when Chris pulled a charger from his bag and held it up. "Was this mine?" he asked. It looked almost identical to his usual one, but the plug had a slightly different finish. "I don't remember packing this." We didn't think much of it in the moment, just another reason to feel unsettled. I didn't sleep after that. None of us did. We sat in the living room in silence for an hour, just listening. Every creak in the floorboards made me flinch. I kept picturing that USB in his pocket. What was he trying to take? Why us? It wasn't just the violation, It was the precision of it. He had waited until we were dead asleep. He had picked the right bag. That meant he'd been watching, calculating. And what if I hadn't gotten up at all when we got back to Boston? Mason started digging. He works in cybersecurity. 2 nights later, he called us over. "You're gonna want to see this," he said. Turns out the charger Chris took home had a tiny data port inside. Not for charging, for uploading. There were microtransmissions sent from it the day after we left Vermont. Mason tracked the signal. It had bounced through proxies, but the pattern was clear. Someone downloaded encrypted data from the cabin's location. Then he pulled up a forum, private, hard to access, where hosts discussed scam reports. There were multiple posts about a guy matching Will's description. Same routine shows up at rural Airbnbs, pretending to know the host slips in with guests, disappears. The kicker: one post mentioned Marie by name. She wasn't innocent either. Apparently she'd used Will to target renters before hand-picked tech-savvy marks groups likely to bring laptops, phones, passwords. Will would install gear overnight, then vanish before anyone caught on. They'd been doing it for years. I messaged her through the Airbnb app, but the account was gone. I changed all my passwords, threw out the charger. Chris canceled his cards, got a new number. Mason wiped his laptop. We thought we were being paranoid, but then Jared's job got flagged for a security breach a week later. His company traced it to a VPN pinged near Vermont. That's when I really lost sleep. We'd invited this guy in. Fed him, drank with him. Never thought twice. He knew our names, our voices, our routines. There was no way to tell how deep it went. I even started watching my webcam light, half expecting it to blink in the middle of the night. Months passed. Nothing else happened, at least nothing we could prove. But there's this part of me that thinks about it every time I stay somewhere new. What if someone's already inside watching? You expect danger to knock loudly, not to arrive with a smile and your name memorized. I went back to the Airbnb listing one night, half drunk, just to check. It had been replaced by a new one. Different host name, but same photos, same couch, same lamp. I reported it. Next day, gone again. Last week, Mason sent me a link. A guy on Reddit describing something almost identical, same kind of guy, same fake connection to the host, same vanishing act. Different state, same story. I DM'd the guy. He said, "I've been trying to figure out who he is for years. So have we."